Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Elder Scrolls Lore, and before we get started, I'd like to thank Ares for allowing me to use his music, and I'd also like to make a shout out to the podcast I'm now a part of with HP Productions, and Kuyo of HP Productions, obviously, Imperial Knowledge, and occasionally Kukai. I've been realizing I'm kind of forgetting where this is all posted. It's going to be posted on HP Productions' channel, so feel free to check it out there. We talk about lore, gaming, and a few other community suggestions and topics. That being said, we also have a guest every week, or I always do it every single time. We have a guest every episode, not every week. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy that. There's not too much other than there are two suggestion videos up and coming. I've got the scripts done. I've yet to get the footage though, so don't worry about that. It'll be coming relatively soon. But without further ado, let's get to the city-state of Markarth. Markarth, or the City of Stone, is one of the 9 major cities of the province of Skyrim, being the capital of the Reach. Markarth has held a vast significance in the Reach, being claimed from the Reachmen to the Nords, and vice versa. Now, Markarth was built from the ruins of, and I'm going to butcher this no matter what, but Nuchwand Zel, which was repurposed into the modern city-state. The city-state of Markarth is situated deep within the Reach, along the Jurok Mountains, that make up the border between Skyrim and High Rock. Markarth, or the original settlement of Nuchwand Zel, was built around a large mountain formation with twin rivers flowing between the lower valley and the upper path. Walking beyond the gates of Markarth will take the traveler to the base of Karthspire, a large mountain in the center of the Karth Valley. Beyond this point is an unsafe territory filled to the brim with local reachmen, both civil and hostile. Reaching the Karth River from Markarth will reveal a fork in the road, leading to the township of Karthwasten in the north and the stronghold of Fort Sungard in the south. The land that Markarth inhabits has large deposits of silver, iron, and granite, with the latter being used in the construction of the palace in Evermore. The seat of power in Markarth is the Understone Keep, which contains the entrance to Nuchwand Zel, which is underneath the city-state. Markarth is divided into 2 city districts, each separated by a large crag in the middle of the city. To the north is Dryside, which consists of the market square and as well residential homes, which were initially part of the Dwarven Ruin, before being repurposed by the locals. Dryside in itself is divided with both an upper and lower level. The lower level is more or less a path to the Understone Keep and to the Temple of Dibella, while the upper level consists and contains mostly the homes and the local treasury. To the south is the Riverside, which is a vast basin, essentially the industrial district of Markarth. Streets descend downwards towards the smelter and the infamous Sidna mine, which serves as a local prison. The poor and working class of Markarth live here, and an underground slum known as the Warrens. Ascending upwards towards Understone Keep are several businesses as well, and there is also an entrance to both the Hall of the Dead and the subsection of the Markarth ruins. Waterfalls flowing above Understone Keep will flow into each district of the city and eventually into the Karth River around the mountain. With the formation of the First Council in 420 of the First Era, the dwarves of the Rurukin clan had self-exiled themselves, eventually landing in the modern-day province of Hammerfell. This is where Wulenfell came into place. We did a video on the Rurukin clan, feel free to check that one out. But the Rurukin were not the only ones to leave Rizadan. The dwarves of the Kraken clan had followed in their footsteps, embarking into the frozen wastes of Skyrim, where they established their first holding, the city-state of Oh man, I hate Dwarven names, but Arkankathms. We're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with that for now, and we're gonna refer to it as Ark from now on. From then on, the Kragans spread across Skyrim, building cities including Nuchwand Zel and the modern-day Markarth. House Kragan had reached a breakthrough when discovering Ethereum, establishing a 4-way kingdom in Skyrim. But like the other Dwemer, the Kragan had disappeared, never to be seen again. Nuchwand Zel was abandoned, like all the other Dwarven settlements in Tamriel. The Dwarven and Mikuli in Nuchwand Zel lay dormant, waiting to be activated. The ruins were eventually inhabited by the carnivorous critters, and outer ruins were taken over by the locals, creating the earliest form of Markarth. Now in 2801 of the First Era, Emperor Kostov of the Riemann Empire had seized hostages from the city-state and the settlement of Old Herolden, or at this case, Herolden, to ensure the Jarls of the area would bend to his whim and meet the conscription quotas he had issued. Kostov was known for being an incompetent leader, and his exploits in Skyrim were a prime example of this, especially with the abuse of the Dragon Guard and the events that transpired in Winterhold. The Dragon Guard themselves were used by Kostov to seize the hostages from Markarth and Herolden. When Kostov was deposed from the throne and succeeded by Riemann Cyrodiil II, the problems with Kostov had already set forth were resolved by Riemann II. During the interregnum, the city-state of Markarth was captured by the local Reachmen, led by an unknown figure given the name the Despot of Markarth. Markarth had become the seat of power for an independent kingdom separate from the schism between Western Skyrim and Eastern Skyrim. The Despot had issued a dictatorship all across the Reach, even communing with the Daedra and even powerful figures such as Marco and House Tharn. The Despot and the people of Markarth worshipped Hircine, the Daedric prince of the Hunt. Circa 581 of the Second Era, an imperial envoy escort named Vlacius Terentius was commissioned by Abner Tharn to document the provinces of Tamriel, and he stumbled onto Markarth, where he was imprisoned in Nachunzel. Before he was even sacrificed by Marco, Vanus Galerian had appeared before them, battling with the King of Worms and escaping with Terentius to eastern Skyrim. Markarth continued to be ruled by the Despot for an unknown time. However, the Despot, along with the King of Worms and the House Tharn, played a large part in the Plain Meld in 582 of the Second Era. During the Imperial Simicrurum in 389 of the Third Era to 399 of the Third Era, Emperor Uriel Septim VII was imprisoned along with Talon Warhaft in the Deadlands by Yagar Tharn. Tharn planned for months to capture the throne, and was able to achieve so in the span of 10 years. Essentially, like the rest of the cities at this time, a piece of the Staff of Chaos was placed in this city to be recovered by the Eternal Champion. During the Great War in 174 of the Fourth Era, Markarth was ruled by Jarl Hrolfdir. With the arrival of the Great War, the Imperial Legion in Markarth had left Cyrodiil to fight against the Third Almeri Dominion, leaving Markarth vulnerable to the Reach. Under the command of Madanach, the King of Rags, the Reachmen overtook Markarth and established an independent kingdom from 174 to 176 of the Fourth Era. Jarl Hrolfdir had escaped Markarth, seeking help to reclaim his domain. This Jarl would seek the help from Ulfric Stormcloak, the newly proclaimed Jarl of Windhelm. In 176 of the Fourth Era, Ulfric and his militia of warriors had stormed the walls of Markarth, deposing Madanach and reclaiming the city-state. Unfortunately, Hrolfdir had perished in the battle, failing to negotiate with the Reachmen. This had left the throne to his son, Igmund. However, problems arose after what was known as the Markarth Incident. Ulfric agreed to help Hrolfdir if he allowed the worship of Talos, despite the words that set forth by the White Gold Concordat. This part of the agreement did not last when the Thalmor returned and abolished the worship. Afterwards, Ulfric and his militia were imprisoned for attempting to bring about Talos worship and enforcing the law onto Markarth. This was a major driving point to the Civil War in Skyrim. I was about to say Markarth Civil War. Came very close. Now in 201 of the Fourth Era, the Skyrim Civil War does happen, and the city-state was still ruled by Jarl Igmund, who inherited the throne from his late father. At this time, turmoil between the newfound Forsworn and Markarth had slowly decreased, but with Madanach imprisoned, relations between the Reachmen and the Nords were still uneasy. With the Stormcloak rebellion raging throughout Skyrim, Jarl Igmund sided with the Mede Empire despite Ulfric's actions at the Markarth Incident. The Imperial Legion, under the command of General Tullius, was stationed at the city-state of Solitude, with the Legion in the Reach took hold at Fort Sungard, located in Upper Karth. The Imperial Legion of the Reach were under the command of Legate Amund Adamand, who operated out of the Understone Keep as a member of the court of Markarth. Now at the same time, Madanach, the King of Rags, was imprisoned in Sidna Mine by the order of Dungvar's Silverblood. With their leader in jail, the Forsworn had gone undercover throughout Markarth, most notably attempted murder at the Markarth marketplace, which the Dragonborn can encounter in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. While the city guard tried to cover the situation, a Reachman citizen, Eltris, and a traveler had investigated the scene, interviewing people throughout the city. As time went on, noble elites from the Silverblood clan had begun to intervene until it was revealed that Madanach had orchestrated the events himself from the prison. Eventually, Eltris was disposed of, meaning he was killed, and the traveler was sentenced to a life in prison instead of mine. Eventually, they would meet the Forsworn and converse with Madanach, who planned prison break. Now, it is unknown what happened to Madanach or if the traveler had sided with him. Reports say that Madanach and his people had fled to the Druidarach Redoubt, while others say that Thongvar made a deal with the traveler and sweeping all of this under the rug forever. Basically meaning that the traveler killed everyone. With that being said, that is the City of Markarth, and I felt like this was going to be one of the shorter videos of the cities. Yes and no, Solitude and Windhelm were pretty long, but this is seeming about average. But with that being said, if you guys have any topic suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. As always, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.